Welcome back, Smile Mentor community. Matt Griffin here, the Smile Mentor, with you today with another episode with a patient just like us. Again, remember, we're wanting to interview patients that have been through this process so you can hear questions they might have evoked that you wouldn't even have thought to ask, help give you the sense that you're not alone, and really walk in it through someone's shoes before you have to go through it, or if you've already been through it. As you find when we go through this, you have a new friend. And today it's Hank. He is a patient. When we went to go interview Dr. Emilio Arguello at Altura in Colorado, in Denver, we wanted to research and talk to a list of their patients, and we spent several hours on the drive out there interviewing different patients they had given us, asking them about their process. Because I didn't want to interview any doctor on here that didn't come with a glowing rating, even though I met Dr. Arguello in the Bahamas teaching a course on this, so I knew he was an expert. Still, I wanted to interview some of the patients. Hank was the one on the list that just had the most interesting story and character. He was worked for the fire department there in Colorado for a long time, retired with them. He ended up actually having to go into dentures when he was in his early 20s. And so, you know, for everybody out there that might be young, I mean, I know what that's like. I mean, I'm not in the retiree section yet, and sometimes people think that's what this procedure is for, those kind of people. No, I mean, you can be young, you can be real young. I've interviewed people in their 20s and 30s that have done this, so don't be embarrassed. Get it done sooner than later, in my opinion. But that being said, Hank is somebody that he waited a long time to have it done, and it's also inspiration for those of you out there that have had dentures for a long time and think it's too late. So you'll hear some of Hank's story, you'll get to know him, and again, guys, I really appreciate you joining us. And for those of you who are like, what in the world are we talking about teeth for? Well, Smile Mentor is a community to help educate, that is not sponsored by anybody, that nobody paid us to do this. This is something for the patient, by the patient. And so we have several interviews with doctors, and aside from sparing you all the details, there's a link at the bottom. Just go to that. That'll tell you everything you need to know. And for our faithful followers out there, thank you. Appreciate all the support and encouragement. If you haven't subscribed, you know what to do. Thank you, guys. Hank, I want to say thank you. Thank you for, I know we were late coming over here, but for carving out dinner time to sit down and two guys talking about teeth. Like I said, does it get much better than this? Thank you for hopping on.
You're welcome.
Okay, first, you were gracious enough to, we talked on the phone and got to know each other a little bit. You've had a unique history with your career. Let's talk about that. What did you do for the last 45 years of your life before you retired?
I retired from the Littleton Fire Department, which is a suburb of Denver. And, I started off as a dispatcher when I was 20 years old. So I was the youngest person that they had hired at the time. And at the time, Denver and Littleton were the only two hiring anybody under 21. And I had applied for Denver and was in the process of trying to get on the fire department in Denver too. But I was dispatching for maybe about 6 months. And here's the hiring process. The chief walks in and goes, "Hey, Hank, would you like to take Rich Phillips' place?" I said, "Okay."
Pretty official.
In Denver, it would have been a totally different situation. But that happened about a week before I was supposed to take the last test for Denver, and I had to make that decision between Denver and Littleton, and I stuck with Littleton since I knew everybody. And my career took me from dispatch to firefighter to paramedic. I was a lieutenant on one of the rescue units, and then I broke and dislocated my left little toe in the station one night, and while I was on light duty, the chief said, I think we need a full-time programmer, because I've been learning how to program the city's computer for use by the fire department.
Wow.
And of course, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I only work 10 days a month. And there was no choice. You do what the chief says. So I was transferred to a staff position, and I retired as an assistant fire marshal.
Assistant fire marshal. Here, I mean, you guys have you guys have fire seasons. We don't have that as much. And I mean, Texas will have some in the summers, but talk to me about what, just help me see through the eyes of what, I haven't lived in Colorado, but I know how big, I do know in Arizona up north, we had serious fires, but what was it like through the eyes of a Littleton firefighter? What were fire seasons like?
Well, the fire season, like we've come to know it, that's a whole different world. What I was, brought up learning how to do was fight structural firefighting. So with the advent of the bigger fires out in the forests, the federal government and the state government started contracting with local fire departments, and we have guys that are trained as wildland firefighters.
Okay.
Also, where I work down in Littleton, being on the south suburb, we had a lot of interface with wildlands, grasslands, scrub oak, and so our guys, that's where they started their wildland firefighting.
Okay.
So that wildland interface is what got us started. So the state supplies extra firefighting equipment, trucks, and they will pay for our firefighters to go somewhere else and pay for the overtime for infilling.
Okay.
So, and our guys, I tell you what, it's a young man's sport. I wouldn't,
Has to be.
I've never had to do it because I was out of the field before that started. And, my hat off to them, because those guys really work hard. That in all the classes that I've taken over the years, that is one dangerous type of firefighting.
Yeah.
Because we had some guys killed up near Glenwood Springs some years back. I forget how many there were, but it was like 9 or so, maybe even more. But the fire started coming up the hill, and it ran so fast it outran them. There was nothing they could do to get out of the way.
Oh my God.
And they have these special little pop-up tents that it can shield them from the heat, but the problem is it takes all the oxygen away. And unless they're carrying some breathing apparatus with them, they'll suffocate. And that's a lot of what happened to some of those guys. They'd find the body and it'd be fine, but they suffocated.
Wow. I never thought of that. The fire takes all the oxygen away.
These wildland fires, they generate their own storms. A firestorm generated by a forest fire is unbelievably dangerous. There are videos of birds being sucked into the fire because they can't outrun the wind that is being sucked towards the fire. I mean,
oh my God.
Fire needs oxygen.
Okay.
And, that's what it's doing. 100 years ago or more, back in the Midwest, up around, I don't know, I think it was Wisconsin or Michigan, Minnesota, up in those areas, there were forest fires that killed hundreds and hundreds of people because once that fire started, the people living in the towns couldn't get out of there. And there's been some really bad fires in the past.
Wow.
And the stuff that's going on in California, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I flew over when it just started. I saw it and I thought, ugh, and then I've been following it, and that's not a pretty sight. Not a pretty sight.
In fact, we just had a friend of the family. They just lost their mountain cabin up in Grand Lake.
Yuck.
So that's the one that's burning up near Estes Park.
So I'll ask that actually off camera as far as in Bastrop. We got to head that way. Okay, let's do this, Hank. we came here to talk about teeth. I asked you, I asked you yesterday when we talked on the phone about, tell me about your dental history, and you made a comment of it evokes some negative emotions from childhood. Tell me about that. What was it like? What was dental history like for you?
Painful. Oh, I mean, if you can imagine, I'm 20 years older than you are. And so we'd go to the dentist, and I swear back then the needles weren't sharp. You know, they'd stick that Novocaine in your mouth and give you the shot, and then they'd start drilling. And the drills weren't the high-speed drills with the water shooting in it like they have now. These were the ones that had the motor down here and you know, all sorts of funny things making that little head spin. And it was painful. It was one of those things, there wasn't dental insurance back then. You paid for the dentist when you went to the dentist.
Right.
And, you know, you're getting teeth cleanings and things like that, you just didn't do unless your family was able to pay for it. So, you know, having your mother hound you every night to brush your teeth, you know, probably should have listened to mom a little closer at the time.
Yeah.
But then as time went on, you know, you'd lose a tooth to decay, or, you know, you'd get the fillings. And back then the fillings weren't, I mean, I had the mercury fillings. And I remember my molars finally decaying. I swear they all decayed at the exact same time from the inside out. And you have them removed. So you end up having mostly front teeth.
Yeah.
And then parents couldn't afford braces. I needed braces. So one of my front teeth was slightly crooked, but yeah, I still was pretty damn attractive, I think.
Right.
But then I got a cavity in that tooth, and so I went to the dentist, and they filled the cavity on the edge. I mean, it was right along the edge. And then one day I get for the longest time I avoided popcorn because I got a popcorn hull stuck up between the gum and the straight tooth next to it, and it abscessed. And so what do? You know, normally you would probably take antibiotics and get everything taken care of.
Right.
No, had it pulled. So here I was, probably 21 years old at the time, and about the same time that filling came out. So here I had a gap plus a half moon crater in the other tooth. And it gets to the point where, you know, I'm working for the fire department and I'm going on calls and you can't smile. I mean, the guys were good-natured about it in the fire station, but it was one of those things where, you know, you smile with your lips down, and it was rough. Yeah. So I made the decision. There were just few enough teeth up there, and the bottom teeth were okay. So I went with a full upper plate.
So had the rest pulled?
Yeah.
Had all the rest upper pull. How old were you?
21.
21. Had them pulled and got a denture.
Yep.
And how long did you have that denture for?
Let's see. I got my implants last January.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh no.
I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Come
2 years
on,
ago.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. No, I continued with the dentures, you know, having them relined, and when I'd wear them out, I'd get new ones. And for people who've had dentures before, they understand that when they need a new liner, and like biting into an apple, if you bite wrong, they flip forward, and that cuts into your gums up here, and it's very painful. I've done that more than once. And finally, my wife, and we'd been watching some of the commercials on TV, and my wife encouraged me to look into it, and I did with one of the other companies. And I thought, yeah, that's probably something we'll pursue. But then it was a coincidence, but I had a tooth here that the filling came out. Just, I don't know why.
Okay.
Maybe because I don't suck on hard candy and I chew it. But I made an appointment with my wife's dentist and saw her, and she's the one who recommended Altura.
So that's how you came to know Altura.
Yes.
So you go to Altura. I mean, it's amazing. You're talking a denture for 40 plus years. Is that correct? And then to be a candidate so you didn't have a bunch of bone loss or resorption.
Oh, I'm sure I did have some, but
Enough
with all their X-rays and everything, they said there was enough there to do what had to be done.
They can make it happen.
And so I ended up with 5 implants on the upper, and the tooth that sent me in there in the first place, they put an implant in there too.
Okay. Yeah, I have one that's healing right now on the bottom that they're waiting to restore. Okay, so now you go to Altura. You were referred there by another dentist, so you already felt fairly confident in who they were and their credibility. Did you do any additional research or anything on them?
No.
Nope.
No, I trusted my dentist. Yeah. She has a good reputation, and if that's who she wanted me to go to, by golly, that's who I'm going to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. One of the goals that I hope for in this documentary and in this series is to empower patients out there that come from a whole wide range of challenges, issues, already been in a denture, might be looking at dentures, whatever it is. How would you explain the process to somebody who's never gone through this now that you have? What's it been like?
Well, for one thing, they need patience, because it is not... one of the competitors, they, with all their commercials, you go in one day, you have the procedure, and you come out with teeth. Well, if you have dentures, yes, because they use your denture temporarily, your old one. And then once all the healing's done, then you start the process of getting your new permanent teeth. Because yes, I came out the same day with teeth, but I also didn't eat potato chips for a long time. I ate soft. They said I could eat soft food, but you don't come out of there prepared to eat a steak.
Yeah.
Unless it's rare and it's a really good cut, because
it's got to be really good.
If you can't cut it with your fork, you better not be trying to chew on anything.
Yeah.
But once you go in every week for a few weeks, and then every couple of weeks they take them out, they clean them, they check to see how you're healing. You get your sutures out if you've had sutures, and well, you will have sutures, but it's smooth. They were just really smooth and encouraging, and the funnest thing I got out of it, I've always had a water pick, but they give you a water pick.
Nice.
And so it's just, you keep it all clean, and once you get the release to go see your dentist, then your dentist makes your permanent teeth.
So the dentist that referred you there is who is making your permanent teeth?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and we were talking about that lower tooth. That one's already been taken care of. That was the first thing they did. But this dentist, I wish I could give her a plug, because she brings in a lab tech who is the one that's actually going to build your teeth for you, and they take all sorts of impressions. They have I don't know how yours was, but they have this special tray that they take these teeth out, and then they screw in these posts.
They're long.
Yeah, the long posts, and then okay. And I go in this Friday, and they have a wax buildup just to see what it's going to look like, and then they'll make the permanent ones from that.
You excited?
I am excited. Yeah. I mean, with these, it is a life changer.
It is.
Because, for one thing, especially for people who have had dentures before, touching the roof of your mouth while you're eating is a new experience that I haven't had for 40 years. You know, so used to be I could eat an ice cream cone, and people would be amazed that I would chew ice cream. Well,
you had your own party trick.
Yeah, but now, without that fake palate up there, ice cream's cold. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
So that's been one of the funner revelations, is eating ice cream and getting a headache ahead of time instead of when you swallow it. But there's nothing I've been restricted from eating.
Yeah. What's been okay? So like I shared with you, I was at the point, where I had to make the decision. Dentures was one of the options, but I didn't go that route. But I walked through it with my mom. And we went through. My mom and I are very close, and she and I inherited some of the same genes when it came to our teeth, and so we have that unique bond. And so she was the difference when you go from denture to the fixed solution like we have. You talk about the eating. What are things you couldn't eat before that you could eat now?
Well, apples is a good example. Anything where you had to, get your chompers into, and if I could eat apples, but I had to apply pressure as I was biting down, because if you didn't, I would get that flip. And there would be other things like, well, even a caramel, unless I glued these suckers in, you'd be chewing along and then you start getting that clicky sound. And you can really tell when somebody has dentures and they start clicking. And, towards the end, the last set of dentures needed to be relined. And I had considered that. But the thing with when they start getting loose, okay, one day I sneezed, and one of my youngest daughter was with me, and I sneezed my teeth out. And I'm surprised the poor little girl didn't get a hernia laughing.
I bet.
She thought that was pretty funny.
Wow.
But that's not going to happen again.
You don't have to worry about that. And if you do, we got bigger problems.
Oh boy. Yeah. Where's the top half of my head?
Yeah, no kidding. Again, for that patient that's out there that's looking, that is doing their research, and they stumble across this on the internet, and they're excited, but they're nervous. What would you like? What could you say to them that would encourage them or get them to be thinking about this now that you're already further down the road?
I think an important thing for people to do is actually find out how many times has the outfit done this procedure. Because one thing we discussed earlier, my wife is a physician, and she knows about numbers. And I've had a couple of other procedures, because I'm old, that you don't want somebody new doing it on you.
Yeah.
If they've got, few hundred or more under their belt, then I would consider it. But, just an outfit like Altura, which has state-of-the-art facilities, they have the numbers under their belt, that's what I would look for. And, just a regular small dental office, I'm not so sure I would trust that.
Yeah. I was shocked, and the viewers are going to have to forgive me for chewing my cud twice on this, but because I've mentioned this in a video before, but Do you know that you don't have to have any specialty to do this procedure?
You were telling me that.
I mean, that blows me away. I mean, your wife is a radiologist, right?
Uh-huh.
She specialized in that. Not everybody can go be a radiologist if you
Right.
just went to med school. This, you just graduate dental school and you can go slipping in full sets of teeth all you want. Really?
Yeah, there's a little more to it than that.
There is, you know. I mean, I have heard some horror stories, so I really appreciate you bringing up the fact of researching how many procedures the clinic has done. Chairside manner. How important is that?
Oh, it is important because, I mean, you've got somebody that's going to be in your mouth for a couple of hours at least. And everybody at Altura was just really friendly. I mean, I did, one of the assistants, I got to know him pretty well, I think, because, you know, he was younger and he has kids, and, you know, we're talking about school and where the kids are going to school, and it was just fun talking to him.
Well, and this is a different kind of dental experience, right? Because you're not just going in and getting a filling and then you're done. I mean, it's a process, and you brought it up earlier, and I really do want our viewers to understand that it does take patience.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long, but part of that patience is you got a lot of appointments at this same clinic, so you're going to get to know these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding who they are and, you know, trusting that feeling and that gut when you meet them, and can you see kind of being friends with these people, because in a sense you're building a relationship. I mean, that's huge, and I'm glad that worked out for you at Altura. It doesn't always go that way. You know, I mentioned to you before, one of the reasons we were late is the interview went so great there. Just we kept talking. Hope I don't do that to you, but they really are a great clinic. Even though I didn't have my work done there, I mean, I've been all around this nation now interviewing these, and they're top of class. They really are, and they know what they're doing. So you chose the dentist, your wife's dentist who referred you there. Did you right? Mm-hmm. Did you right? What problems have you had with it? Anything?
Should we discuss the one that I told you about?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier that I cannot suck hard candy.
Yeah.
I'll put it in my mouth and I'll start in on it. And then before you know, I've never gotten to the center of a Tootsie Pop.
They made commercials about it, so you're not the only one.
Yeah. And when we were down in Arizona earlier this year, I was eating some hard candy. And next thing I know, I crunched down and I broke off the end tooth. And dentist looked at it and said, "That's okay. Everything in there is still attached." So I just wasn't too short, that's all. And it's not sharp and it doesn't bother me, but I haven't eaten candy since.
You haven't?
Maybe chocolate, but that's not hard.
So once you get your finals, though, it's off to the races.
Yeah. And
they're stronger.
I expect probably within the next month I'll have my finals.
I'd love a picture if you wouldn't mind. Text or email or send me a pic once you get them. I'd like to see them. Okay. What is there anything else you can think of that that you know, rewinding the clock, let's say 10 years ago. Let me phrase it this way, and I think I asked you this yesterday, but what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
10 years ago?
Sure.
I don't know the history of this type of procedure. So 10 years ago, if it were available, I never heard of it.
It wasn't common, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had I have more implants. Some of them are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And I've had those probably 10 years or more. But 10 years, I guess I wouldn't do anything different 10 years ago. Because I don't know, there just was no history there.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm glad I waited. How about that?
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you let technology and things become more mainstream versus being a pioneer on it. Yeah.
I mean, implants, even 10 years ago, were pretty darn expensive.
Yeah, they were. I remember looking at that and going, okay, wow, I'm buying a car?
Yeah, I'm thinking new teeth, new car.
Yeah.
I'm glad I waited, but
Yeah.
the technology is there, and there are some good outfits, and Altura is one of them.
What'd your wife say when you got it done? What was her reaction?
Well, one thing about these, keep in mind, they're temporary. They are slightly forward of where the denture sat and slightly down from where the denture sat. And there will be a space there, of course, because, you know, it's permanently attached to your mouth.
Yeah.
But my new teeth will be back slightly and a little closer up tight. I don't look like me, she says.
Really?
Yeah, I think she's used to me now. But, and the other thing is, I have a lisp.
The speech part of it is so hard. I mean, I'll hear myself even on video. You know, where I'm going, whoa, my S's, and I mean, it's just tough.
Yeah,
You have to relearn to
Well,
talk.
my dentist, with the technician in there, they had me counting my 60s, my 40s to make sure that everything was right, and they said they can correct that. Okay.
Wow. I love it.
I mean, this gal was top notch.
Let me ask you a question. This is a weird one, but my mom had it and I've noticed it with me. Have you found yourself drooling any extra out of the corners of your mouth? Like just kind of, I've had that.
That might, yes. As a matter of fact, I've noticed that.
Just a little bit, not crazy, but I've just noticed I have to, I wonder why that is. I need to ask the next doctor
That's
that.
a good question.
What about it makes it drool just a little bit? I mean, it's not like I'm sitting there and hopefully nobody,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not sitting there drooling on my shirt, but just my corners of my mouth, you know. So you've noticed that too? Okay. I wonder if with the permanence that'll be gone. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, I'll get used to it.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, you have been so gracious to not only spend probably an hour on the phone with us yesterday, but let us come in and rearrange your whole room. We'll put it back, I promise.
Okay.
But just to, you know, this, again, the spirit of this is those that were where we were, whatever that is, and that, man, this is a game changer, a life changer. It really is. So thank you for doing this.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, did I forget anything?
Nope. Except for Johnny.
Oh, Johnny.
can hop up there.
Hey, Johnny, come here. Come on. Come here. Come
You're
on.
gonna tease him?
Oh,
he
no, you're going over there.
He teased you. He teased you. Oh, you're gonna go that
here.
route?
You're a goofball.
He's not used to that.
That's.
He needs a little dental work. Yeah. See that one tooth? He's got one snaggle tooth on one side. Nicknamed Ugly Johnny. And he does this.
But he's so ugly. He's cute.
Yes.
I think I've had some girls say that about me too.
You married the last one?
What's that? I did. I finally grabbed the last one before she got away. Yeah. Well, thank you again.
You're welcome. That was fun.
I appreciate it.